says introduction to meditation. Maybe that's a nice invitation for all of us to introduce ourselves to our meditation again. Hi, Margot. Do we have anybody tonight? And I am Christina Monson, and I am connecting with all of you from Nepal. And I'm teaching time to time at the Padmasambhava Meditation Center, which is based in Denver, Colorado. I feel like this is the intro. Morning. Hi, Sid. There, you're with us now. Is there anybody who's joining us tonight for the first time? Oh, Tara, is that your iPad? Wait, whose iPad is that?
This is mine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Hi.
Oh, okay. Hi. My name is Kathy, Catherine Slatcher. I'm in Sydney right now, down in Australia. So it's morning time here.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
Hi. Yeah, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you joining us today for the first time?
The first time with you. I've
Okay.
been joining in with Rinpoche in Denver, and then I've been in Denver, but I've been over here since March.
Okay. Okay. You are spending the days of COVID-19 in Sydney.
Yes. We're on basically international travel ban.
Okay.
Which is okay. Yeah.
Right. Well, welcome to all of you. Some of you I haven't seen in a few weeks. Happy to connect again. Before we get started, I'd love to invite everybody to just give a brief check-in if you feel inspired to do so. How are you, and how is your meditation practice going these days?
Are you talking to me?
Kathy, you're very welcome to contribute to that. It's an open question to the group.
Oh, I don't know. I only see you. Can you see me?
I can't see you. I mean, I can see that your video's not on, but I have my screen on gallery view, so I can see everyone who's here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering because I just got out of the shower and washed my hair, and I'm sitting outside drying, so I wasn't sure what I looked like. But anyway, that's okay. I'm here. Thank you. I'll be quiet now.
Okay. You're welcome to. Anybody inspired to just check in briefly? How are you this evening? How's your meditation been going since we've met? Anything on your mind about it? Question or insight you could share? I see Sid is smiling, but I don't know if he's smiling at us or something in his home. And Margot too. Yeah.
I always smile, except when I don't. I'll share if you don't mind.
Love that.
Christina.
Thank you, Margot. Yeah.
So I like to think my meditation practice is going well. I've been having a little bit of medical health related things that have caused me to have this new pain when I'm sitting. So I think I just need to go in for a tune-up and a lube job and I'll be okay, but I don't know what that looks like. And so I'm spending a fair amount of time on Monson, and I think with Rinpoche's teaching, they've been just so profound. It's been exceptional. And I'm getting ready to go into a 10-day retreat next week, so that'll be nice.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you, Margot. May the tune-up
Yeah.
be exactly what you need before the 10-day retreat.
Yeah, I don't know what that looks like, but those of us that work in the automotive industry can relate. Thank you.
Thanks, Margot. I can relate to that, even though I don't work in the automotive industry. Definitely, I feel like I could use a tune-up as well. I'm noting Earl says meditation is even better thanks to COVID. Thanks for that, Earl. Is that because you've got no choice but to be inside a lot more and therefore meditating a lot more? Yeah, you don't have to get up and physically go anywhere, right? And yeah, just reflecting that having a meditation practice, it's all on your desk, right? Yeah, it's all on your desk. I think having a meditation practice is an amazing support for what our world has been experiencing over the last 6 months, as all of the interruptions due to COVID-19 affect people in different ways. Yeah, amazing opportunities. Thanks. It's really true, right? So just all over the world, we can have an opportunity to check in. And I think, that lacking a way to ground ourselves and really be present makes it a lot harder. And I notice myself as well when I start to feel antsy, because I was calculating, I've been to town, which is Kathmandu for me, 4 times since March 12th. I do go for walks outside my home, but in terms of getting in a car and going somewhere, that's been only 4 trips. And yeah, I feel quite happy and settled and grounded, but it still comes up time to time, a feeling of going somewhere. And when I've really looked into that, it's a habit of distraction. It's a habit of just wanting to shift up my scenery and something new and different. And so I've been practicing with, right in those moments, actually just kind of sitting down in a place that's beautiful and in or outside my house, and becoming very, very focused and present with what is right before me. And there's a lot of beauty around me. Anyone else? I have something to share. Just check in a little bit before we do some practice together. All right, let's do some sitting together. And for that, I invite you to feel your body, get comfortable in it. If a part of it feels uncomfortable, just arrange your cushion or your seat enough so that you really feel you are as comfortable as you can get. You might be sitting on a cushion on the floor, or on another seat, maybe seated in a chair. Anything is fine. Once again, remembering and bringing our attention to the importance of, to the extent that we can, keeping our upper body upright, so the spine is straight as it can be, with a sense that we've had a string on top of our head and it just pulls up a little bit, and then the tension is released so that we don't then hold that tension. We just kind of settle, each vertebrae just balancing, settling nicely, one on top of the other, like a stack of coins. Bring your attention for a moment to the area right at the top of your spine between your shoulder blades. And just see if you can, with your mind and breath, let go a little bit of the tension that might be there so that your shoulder blades fall down your back just a millimeter, perhaps more than they are right now. As you do that, you might sense some weight in your arms that also kind of pulls them down and opens up the backside of your body a little bit more. So there's some more room and spaciousness there. Your hands could be resting on your knees, and if you usually have your palms face down on your knees like I do, you might also try turning your palms to the sky and resting them on your knees and see how that feels. Perhaps doing this session of meditation with that more palm to the sky sense. Your hands could also be crossed right at your navel, resting on your lap. That's also fine. Chin is a little bit down. When I teach meditation, I emphasize keeping the eyes open, and that accords with what I've learned in the tradition of the Nyingma school and the teachers that I have in that school of Tibetan Buddhism. And a reminder that to be fully present and aware in this moment doesn't require us to shut out our sensory experience. So we'll begin then with bringing attention to the body. And in that context, really feeling your feet and where they're touching the ground beneath you or on the mat. And letting your seat, your cushion, whatever it is you're sitting on, take the full weight of your human form. You might imagine for a second that you are feeling the weight of your body from the perspective of your seat, fully holding you. And as you do that, you might just kind of sway your body slightly left and right to get a sense of kind of where it just naturally balances on your seat right there in the middle. And with your attention doing a brief scan from your feet up to your knees, your hip joints, your lower back, torso, shoulders, neck, any place that you notice some tension or constriction. Take a couple of breaths there, breathing from that place such that there's a bit more spaciousness. And let your attention encompass your whole body, held as it is by the seat that you're on. Bringing to mind a metaphor of a mountain, strong and stable, completely grounded. Letting your physical posture be mountainous. Strong yet relaxed. And from that place, bring your attention more closely to your breathing. Not intentionally elongating it or changing it from its natural rhythm, but allowing it to begin from deeper in the belly. And let your mind ride your breath so that for this next period of sitting meditation, you bring your attention gently to your exhalation and just riding that out as it goes, dissolving as it does naturally. Paying no particular attention to your inhalation because the body just does that naturally as a matter of course. It knows how. And then once again, you, whatever that means, however you are experiencing yourself in this moment, ride your exhalation out and dissolve as it does into the space that's all around you. And with that as a support, we'll sit for about 12 minutes. If you've noticed that you follow a train of thinking, just bring your attention gently back to the breath. You can move just your body a little bit also, just kind of break up the practice. take a couple deep breaths again and settle right back into it. Kind of hitting the refresh button. If you notice that your thinking is not overly excited, you can also just let your attention drop right into your present awareness and just rest right in that. Their sounds. You're aware of them, but not following and analyzing them. The same with sensations, physical. So senses are wide open, and you're just resting in your present awareness. If you're joining us now, welcome. We're sitting strong in body, gentle and relaxed in breath, and spacious in mind. Determine for yourself whether you need to be a little bit tighter with your focus, in which case you can use the breath and that exhalation as a support, or whether you need to be a little bit looser and allow yourself to just expand into the spaciousness of your present awareness by turning your attention just back right in on itself and looking at the person who's meditating, the meditator, and then dropping everything. How is that? Thoughts or reflections? Should we just keep sitting for the next 20 minutes?
Christina, you said something which really I found it pretty amazing when you said to open our senses. And I had an experience of what that felt like without following the object of the sense. And that was very novel. That was definitely gave an experience of being in the present moment that was fuller, I guess, or there wasn't even a distinction between accepting and rejecting the sounds I was hearing, or I don't think I was really opening my sense of smell so much, but mostly visual and auditory. But still, I really appreciate that instruction. That was something quite helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. I'm curious as to how other people experience that. So when you are meditating and sitting, what is your experience of all of your sense consciousnesses? So hearing, sight. I doubt you could be eating something. Maybe you have a lifesaver in your mouth or something, so that taste is also activated. But how do you relate to your senses when you're practicing? What's it like for you?
Hi, Christina. It's Manisha.
Hi.
So this was really helpful for me because, similar to what Tara said, I kind of was able to give in to the surrounding sounds and, my senses. And I've noticed over the last few weeks, I think I don't feel productive after a sitting because I think I'm so focused on blocking everything out that it's actually stressful as opposed to relaxing. And this sitting tonight it kind of gave me that freedom to, okay, well, there's birds and there's this, and I can hear my fan, and that's okay. And it wasn't chasing a thought. It was just kind of like acknowledging that they're there, or the sound is there, or the thought is there. And that freedom was nice to give myself permission to have today. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you for sharing that, Manisha. I really appreciate what you just say, and also kind of for Tara for bringing up the point, because I think it can happen just somewhat unconsciously that we become so focused in the striving kind of, all right, this is a one single pointed focus concentration that is going to allow the mind's activity to kind of settle down, that, inadvertently, it becomes an exercise in tension rather than relaxation and openness, as you said. Yeah, I'd love to hear what, other perspectives on that or experiences with it, if you'd like to share.
I often think about the difference. I relate to what how you just summarized what Manisha said, Chris, about it becoming an exercise in the play of tension and relaxation, and that just becomes another duality to work with while you're trying to focus and concentrate or not. But I often think of the senses as literally, the difference between looking and seeing, or listening and hearing. And so when I catch myself listening, for example, I remember that's somehow a trigger for me to think, oh, just hear a little bit instead of listening so hard. Or same with if I catch myself really focusing on some visual object or a feeling, like sometimes I'll feel something in my shoulders or my back or my stomach or something. And so instead of, I don't know what the correlate for feeling would be, or like body pain and body focus or something. But thinking about the focusedness of the senses versus the openness of the senses. So that's often a way that I work with what's coming up when I'm sitting. Yeah, I have some more to say, but I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much for that, Tracy. I love that distinction. Yeah, between listening and hearing. And the great challenge that I find myself facing on a daily basis as I deal with Tibetan verbs often is around the fact that most verbs have an intransitive as well as a transitive form, and you better learn the spelling, which I haven't. So I find myself always, looking at the verb, okay, is it the transitive or the intransitive one? But I think there's, in fact, something very profound on that, because, that distinction you just made, Tracy, between listening and hearing is almost that. It's that, striving, to listen, whereas hearing happens when the senses are open. And it's also, I think, not insignificant that in Tibetan language, one way of talking about the 5 senses is go, as in terms of door or gateway. Go, not the 5 door, the sense openings, essentially. And so that, I would say, practice of letting them just be open, which is, again, when we started, why in this tradition, the emphasis is much more on keeping the eyes open. It's not about shutting out the phenomenal world. The senses are open. Eyes are open. Sounds are heard. I don't know that, I wonder what the transitive and intransitive difference of taste is. I don't think it's about
taste, or even smell, or like bodily sense. And then also if we're talking about six sense faculties, the sense of the mind, what's the transitive, intransitive? I was talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, though, in terms of the mind, that difference is probably core and fundamental to a practice of meditation where the spaciousness for thoughts to come and go is present. So thinking happens. Big deal. Like, who cares? Who cares? Do you care? That's the question, because nobody else is caring about your thinking because they don't know what it is, right? So, we tie ourselves up in knots. As soon as I said that, my little dog Puff came running over. Oh, do you care about my thinking? Do you care about my thinking? She doesn't care about my thinking. do you care about your thinking? How much do you care about your thinking? I mean, that's a great question to ask yourself. And I think that the distinction between meditation practice that is, as we've said, kind of grounded in shamatha, where we've trained ourselves to be able to rest and focus our attention, is so important, because without the capacity to be aware that there's thinking, aware of our own thoughts, then the next step of just not minding our thoughts, not trying to block them, suppress them, and also not indulging them can unfold. But if we're just fully carried away in the force of thinking and we don't have awareness about that, then it's very difficult, I would say, to get to the place where, and there's so many powerful metaphors that we find in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism to help us get a sense of what is it to not mind our thoughts, like a thief entering an empty house, like a snake uncoiling itself. So thoughts unravel themselves if let be. That's the problem. That's the problem, right? To let your thoughts be. Can you sit aware that you have thinking, but not being your thinking? Just the way that you can sit with awareness, there's music in the background somewhere in Nepal, but not listening and striving to hear, listening to it. So that, and what I really appreciate about how we can work with all sense consciousnesses is that piece as well, is the flow from the cushion off the cushion. For myself, personally, I find sound to be very powerful that way. I am aware that I hear sounds as I sit. After I get up from my practice, that awareness that I hear sounds is this flow that continues. And so mindfulness, presence comes into all of the post-meditation experience. Thank you so much for bringing up that point, Tara. And what I would invite us all to do is to discern where you are, just naturally. We do this in any particular session of meditation. Is it needed for you to spend, say, the first 5 minutes of your practice just settling, grounding, using breath, using another kind of support to just let everything settle down so you become focused on the present moment? And then it's like this expansiveness. The phenomenal world is not shut out. There's sound, there could be smell, maybe you've lit an incense. And that experience is one that I find has a way of bringing us back again to the present. So there's an expansion into, the senses are wide open. And as there's awareness of sound, of smell, awareness of thinking activity, it in fact just brings an even greater clarity to the present awareness. And it's harder to do that when the force of thinking is such that we're not able to be aware of the thoughts, but we're really just kind of fully carried away with them. And so in that case, maybe, you know, we begin more with using something like the breath to develop that attention that there's thought activity without being fully carried away by it. How could there be thoughts that you don't own? I love that word. That was an instruction my teacher gave me. Don't own them. Yeah, like who cares? Who lets thoughts bother you besides you? But we are bothered by the weather, right? It's like that the metaphor. The sky, the spacious sky, mind is wide open, like a spacious sky, and your thoughts are the clouds that pass through. But sometimes, you know, there's like a thick layer of clouds, and it's irritating. Could we just have a blue, sunny day once in a while? We judge the clouds, we judge the weather. I don't like the way it looks this morning. I'd rather have it be like this. Or, oh, it's so beautiful tonight. Look at the sunset. Wow, I'm gonna take pictures of the sunset. It's so beautiful. We have preferences. We have preferences about the weather. We have preferences about our thoughts. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
As Nivon, go ahead, Tracy.
Oh, no, go ahead. Maybe you're going to say the same thing I was going to bring up. I don't know. I feel resistant. I feel like a common response to, we have preferences is like, okay, shut off the preference. Let's not have any opinions about anything. or shut down the thoughts, or shut it off. I don't know that that's the instruction. And so I just wanted to mention that I've been working with resistance lately, and as usual, and so I feel resistant to that thought that arises in me of like, oh, okay, we have preferences. The enlightened thing to do is to shut down. An enlightened being doesn't have preferences, and that's what we're going for. And then I have to remind myself that actually we are embodied beings right now, working in an embodied experience, and these are actually the senses are the preferences are the tools we have to work with. And so I always feel sensitive when we talk about like or dislike, aversion, attachment, and saying like, well, if we just turned off the aversion and the attachment, then we'd be good, right? Check, enlightenment. But that's not the human experience. We're training for something, but actually we're using all of these preferences and the experience of attachment and aversion. So maybe the meditation practice is about helping us be more aware of those preferences as they come up, even in a meditation session, but also in our everyday lives when we're off pour off the cushion. Maybe being aware that we think the sunset is pretty, and kind of saying, "Oh, interesting that I have that attachment to sunsets. Huh, interesting." And then kind of moving on to the next thing. Anyway, that's kind of how I've been trying to practice with that lately. I don't know. Is that what Mayfarmer Jay was going to say?
Well, I don't think that's what I was. That's not what I was gonna relate in terms of what I just was reading Mifan Rinpoche saying. I think what I would say, the judging on top of our preferences, right? That we don't really need. We have preferences. Okay, yeah, we've got preferences, and we've got good thoughts. We've got thoughts that are negative. We've got all kinds of thoughts that we judge. So the judging mind, I would say that's a place we don't need to layer that on top. And if we look at the different approaches that we find in different Buddhist vehicles, right? Okay, so here, from a Hinayana perspective, you've got attachment. Okay, let's take that object as far away. We are going, so there's kind of renunciation. Mahayana perspective, let's find an antidote to it, right? Let's find an antidote to it. Vajrayana, which is what I was going to mention with Mifan Rinpoche, there's wisdom in that. There's wisdom in it. It's not a bad thing to have attachment. What is that saying to you? What is its core? That's the real wisdom. So we hone down into it. It's that our capacity to long for what is positive, aversion. It's the desire to separate from what is not wanted, what is harmful. There's wisdom in all of them. In fact, I would like to, I've been journaling a little bit about this too. So we get, Mibam Rinpoche has a great teaching about the wisdom quality, the essences of the 5 big ones, the 5 big poisons. Ignorance, aversion or anger, attachment, jealousy, pride. But so if I can do math, there's 84,000, that's only 5 of them. What about the 83,995? Just kidding. Anyway, what are some of the wisdom qualities of other experiences that we have? That's a place that I'm curious about myself. So, thank you. You're wonderful. Opportunity to reflect on our senses. Yeah, I don't think we have preferences. It's part of being a human being. And when is it? What is ours to do? Do they bother me or not? Am I judging myself for them or not? Do I act on them in ways that cause harm to myself and others or not? I think the core of meditation is not to make us into non-sentient beings. No. It's become more skillful and wise, discerning. I think. Shall we do a couple minutes of Tonglen as we conclude this evening? For those of you who may be familiar with the practice of Tonglen or not, I'll just say a couple words. Again, using our breath as a vehicle for an intention to cultivate peace, healing, justice, well-being in the world. And so I'm bringing to mind the difficulties that are being faced right now globally. Maybe it's individually with somebody in particular in your life. And with an intention that all who are in pain be released, find respite, find what is needed for their own healing, then we, as we breathe in, take away all that is difficult and unwanted. And we allow and invite that to destroy inside of us what is unwanted. And as we exhale, we offer out positivity, goodness, and healing. What is wished for by others, regardless of whether we feel we possess that or not. And so letting the power of intention guide this practice. Take some breaths, offering out into this world positivity and removing the forces that harm and taking them into ourselves to destroy what is unwanted in us. And as you do it, really focus on the intention to bring positivity into the world, to remove what is harmful and negative, more so than any visualization that connects to this practice, but just really with each breath, breathing out that positivity, removing what is harmful with the inhalation. And then in your own words, in whatever way feels aligned with where you are, make a dedication or an aspiration at the end of this time together in practice. According to the Indian master Shantideva, an aspiration that I appreciate wishes that as long as there are beings and ecosystems holding myriad forms of life, may I too remain here, working to dispel the suffering of this confused dimension, such that all forms of life be free. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. Really good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night. Good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.